One, two, three, four. What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. How y'all doing? How's your week been? Hope everybody's staying safe, doing everything they got to, you know? Do what you got to do, stay safe for the benefit of yourself and others. It's episode 36. Babylon 5 Podcast. I'm your boy Jermaine Event. Yo, I was just watching Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez, and it got me real hype. Like, I gotta just to like invest more time into watching some of these older fights. I've never seen Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez. This fight was fucking insane. Justin Gaethje was undefeated going into that, and it was a 3-round main event for whatever reason. Maybe it was before they switched the rules. I don't know. I don't know the situation with the fight exactly, but Justin Gaethje was undefeated at the time, I guess, and I'd say going into like it was pretty much the end of the fight. There was, I think, a few seconds left for the fight. Maybe no more than a minute left in the fight total, and it was just a war, back and forth war. Uh, Eddie Alvarez is just lighting up his body with these crazy body shots, lighting up Justin Gaethje with these body shots, these uppercuts. He's looking phenomenal. Um, but Gaethje's just super durable, and he keeps coming, and he's fucking Eddie Alvarez's leg up. He just fucks him up with these leg kicks. At one point in the third, um, he gets him with a real good leg kick, and like Eddie Alvarez collapses and tries to pull guard, but Justin Gaethje just walks away from him. He doesn't go into guard and tells him like, "Nah, stand him up," just because he's at that point certain that Eddie Alvarez couldn't stand up. And the fight ends with fucking just out of nowhere. Like he stands up, they're trading, fucking Gaethje's just lighting this man up, and then just like out of nowhere, Eddie Alvarez just fucking catches him with a knee to the fucking chin. Just Eddie Alvarez just catches a knee to the fucking chin and knocks fucking Justin Gaethje out with like just seconds left in the fight. It was fucking crazy. It was a fucking war. All right? It was a fucking war. Justin Gaethje got knocked out. He lost that fight, but I'm fucking excited for his fight May 9th with Tony Ferguson. I got Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee coming on. I've heard some things about what Tony Ferguson looked like in the wrestling, but I'll be the judge of that myself. We'll see here. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the social media real quick. The social medias. Give you niggas the social medias. You see my coats in the background. It's my coat hanger. Let me turn it the wrong way. No, don't turn it that way. That's cool. Y'all can see the coats. It's cool. I got my son Gohan rash guard. I figured I'm gonna just put from now on the videos of the podcast are just gonna be on the Patreon. So if you guys want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal account, it's at My Name's Jermaine. If you want to email the podcast, it's babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, nigga, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. If you guys want to, if you guys play Xbox One, if you want to be my friend, go ahead and add me at SauceBoss414 is my gamer tag. If you want to check out some merchandise, you can go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And if you want to watch me play, you can go ahead to twitch.tv/Babylon5. I see people talking about Discord, and I was told to set up a Discord when I originally started to stream on Twitch. I was told to set up a Discord, and I downloaded the app, and then I've never opened it. So I should get on Discord pretty soon. It'll be discord dot whatever slash Babylon5pod whenever that happens. I did mention just previously that the videos for this podcast will just be and early access to this podcast. I'm going to upload it today, like on Sundays when I record them, or maybe even sooner. Who knows? Sometimes I'll record them on Saturday, Thursday. Who gives a fuck? And yeah, and then I'll upload them to Patreon, and you can have them early. And you'll have access to the video if you go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. If you're a subscriber, I think, yeah, for the instant access, what is it? Shit, nigga. I don't know. I don't remember. I know because originally I know the prices to be the lowest tier was like $5, and then I tried to lower it to just like $1. Like, just give me $1 and you can be a patron. You know? Nothing major. But it was like, yo, don't do that. It was like, Negro, you need to go no lower than $3. And then I was like, all right, let me just lower a couple of the tiers. The VIP tier I left at $20 because that's, you're a VIP. Why not? You're a VIP. So the official patron, and that gets you early access to the episodes, that's $3. All access patron, that gives you my bonus episode. I uploaded a bonus episode, what was it, Thursday? It might have been Thursday. I just, yeah. So I'm going to give you guys bonus episodes, a bonus vlog. They're going to be called Babylon 5, I Digress. So I Digress 1 is already uploaded on Patreon. If you guys become a patron for $5 a month, all access patron, you'll get the bonus vlogs to go along with it. On the I Digress 1, I was speaking about my tenure on a previous podcast. Figured I'd just address it, but I didn't want to address it here, so I addressed it there just to get it off my chest, and I feel pretty good about it. And if you want to be a VIP if you want to be a VIP patron, that gives you monthly AMAs plus everything in previous tiers. It's just $20. You know, if you want to talk to your boy, ask some questions. I would love it if you guys were $20 patrons, mainly because I would like to maybe have this interactive in some point where, like, maybe at the end of the podcast, I can answer some questions with you guys if you have some questions. Sorry, I just got sidetracked. Somebody just hit me up about if we're still hiring at my store, and yes, we are. But I'm in the middle of recording. So yeah, go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod, become a patron, and you'll get bonus vlogs. You'll get, I was going to upload some songs that I had that I'm probably not going to use, but I like them. And if you go ahead and join, you'll get some, you can listen to some songs. Maybe that might even just be VIP acts. We'll see. We'll see. You can listen to some songs. That's what I have it on there as Patreon is making podcasts and music. So I'm gonna upload some shit, and yeah, it'll be for you guys. For British eyes only. All right. I love that season. I love the fact that it like pretty much ruined Arrested Development. The For British Eyes Only and the Mr. F, which turned out to be a mentally retarded female, is what they were trying to tell people. But they were like, "Who is Mr. F?" And it was just like, "Nah, this is my daughter. She's a mentally retarded female." Anywho, that season ended the show pretty much. They like after that whole little storyline, they would occasionally apologize for that season, like in the episodes, like until it was canceled. They would apologize for that season, and I was like, this shit's fucking hilarious. You took a chance, and it wasn't worth it. Um, you know what's hilarious? It's not hilarious. So, as I was saying, I'm gonna put like songs that I'm not gonna use on the Patreon. You guys know Jermaine Event makes music, makes that real hip hop, that real hip hop, hip hop. Uh, I digress. No, this isn't I digress. But I so I was contacted the other day by this lady. She was like, "Yo, we doing this tour, yada yada. You niggas, nigga, you trying to come through? Nigga, you trying to be on the tour, nigga?" And I was like, I'm looking at it because I'm like, nah, that's a scam right away. Because for my, when I look at it, if you hit me up to perform, I think at first contact, there needs to be some dollar amount discussed in your first contact. You need to reach out with a dollar amount, and if you don't reach out with a dollar amount, that's a red flag, and I've lost pretty much all interest. But I looked into it, and what was the shit called? Shit was called like the Extreme Tour. And I emailed her back. I was like, oh yeah, just go ahead and send me some information. Real curious about it. And I looked it up myself, and people were claiming that what they do is no, because when I looked on their website, and it was like putting on like block parties or some shit, or just like festivals, not really block parties, but festivals for people who are kind of like down in the dumps or some shit like that. Like people who are like down on their luck is what they're saying. And I'm like, the fuck does this mean? It's like we're going to like super ghetto areas and putting on shows. And I was thinking like, and it says like you get paid, and I'm just like, I don't understand. Like it says you get paid and you sell merch, but and I was like, but if we're going to these real sketchy areas, who's buying merch? I'm just trying to be real with a nigga. Who's buying merch? So I was just like, this doesn't really make any sense. And I look it up, and most of the people are saying that you don't get paid to perform. But you can get paid in tips from these people in these down on their luck areas. So that's something that you can strive for, is getting tips from these people who have seemingly nothing. So you're working for this non-profit group. Apparently, it said on there, she was like, they help with travel on the website and blah blah blah, and like lodging. And everyone who was reviewing it said they've gone on this tour. They were like, yo, you sleep on the fan in parking lots and shit. I'm like, this is wild. That sounds like the wackest shit I've ever heard. I don't know what fight this is. Vanada Green? I don't. I just ain't the fight. I guess I probably put that whole card on rather than just the fight. But anywho, but I was like, that's pretty random. But what they do apparently, which sounds even sketchier, it's like some nonprofit church group apparently, and they'll be like putting on random ass shows, performances, people of all kinds of genres. They'll be like performing in the middle of a housing project, like just for tips, nigga. They said it's well, you just busking. You know what I'm saying? Around America in the sketchiest areas, sleeping in a van, and then performing for tips. I was like, nigga, that's crazy. Cause like if one scam young artists need to always look out for is like Afton kind of shit. Anything where they ask you to pay to perform, that's some bullshit. Like, don't ever pay to perform. don't ever pay to bring business into, like, to bring in business. Like, you don't pay to be the entertainment. And don't ever think you should. Don't ever think something that requires that is legit in any way. That's one thing you young bucks should always know. Um yeah, so I just thought that was hilarious. Definitely not gonna jump on some random ass busking tour. Like, yeah, nigga, you could keep it's like, yo, you keep 100% of your merch. And it was like, and you get paid. I was like, but it didn't say the amount that you get paid. So that's like the big red flag. And I'm like, and I keep 100% of the merch. I'm like, dog, this don't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. Cause you know what it is. Sorry, the chances of you actually making money off that merch are highly unlikely. Um, sorry, I'm a little dry mouth there. It's funny. Trump said he was talking about, like, oh, they say the disinfectant kills it instantly. Maybe we could see something about injecting it in yourself and in your lungs and seeing what happens. And it's like, yo, this guy's so fucking dumb. He's so fucking dumb. And I'm at the point where I start to just tune out what he says. I see no reason to even at this point take stock. For me, it's like once, because do I have this news app like set up? I don't know what it is, but I get all these breaking news like daily. And if the breaking news says something is past, then I'm like, oh, what happened? But just to listen to this man constantly say his nonsense, like, that doesn't make any sense for anybody. Don't waste your time like actually paying attention to what this nigga's saying, because it's nonsense. All right, don't waste your time with it. Um, but then I saw another article that was like, in the 18 hours after Trump said that, like 30 New Yorkers ingested household cleaning products. Nigga, fuck out of here, bruh. I didn't read that article. I just saw. I just want to put that out there. But I was like, that's silly. That's silly. Let's see. Let me Google it. I can actually research everything I'm saying here, and not just. I would have like I started 30 New York, and it said, it popped up. NYC Poison Control sees uptick in calls after Trump's disinfectant comments. So yeah, that's NPR. That's some real shit right there, bruh. In an 18-hour period, niggas is ingesting household cleaning products after Trump said that nonsense on TV. You can't listen to what this nigga is saying. All right, he's a dumbass. You gotta tune that shit out, and then once it says this bill is passed, this is signed into law or whatever. Once all the papers are signed, then I'm like, oh, this is what's happening now. Like, but when he's just like, how many times I'll see an article where it was like, Trump says he's doing this racist shit to Mexicans. Trump says he's doing this racist shit to people trying to come over the border, like trying to come over here from this place, no refugees. Trump's doing this racist shit. And then, like, it'll be like he says that, and then, like, 5 hours later, I'll see an article like, Congress says that shit's illegal. Congress says that shit's unlawful. And, like, it'll be like, why is he saying these things? Like, he has no idea what he can do. He just keeps saying he's gonna do these racist laws. He's like, I'm gonna do, like, nope, no more of this. No more of you people coming over here. And they'll be like, yo, you actually don't have the power to do that. How many times do we have to tell you that you don't have the authority to make that call? But whatever. I'm trying to tell you niggas, don't listen. Like, tune that nigga out, alright? I ain't got time. I ain't got time for that nigga, bruh. Which is what I think is silly. So I was kind of even debating if I was gonna even address this situation here. An old friend, I'll say an old friend. I addressed it. I mentioned it last week, and it was just because from what I was seeing, it was starting to be a little alarming. What I was seeing, I thought, I don't know, I would just, oh man, I saw a friend posting all these things, like pretty much claiming that hospitals are inflating the COVID-19 numbers and just all this like like this pro protest shit, like posting things like, yo, if you're sick, stay home. If you can get sick, easy, stay home so I can get back to normal. Shit like that. It's like, dude, like, there's shit going on. And like, the claims are that like hospitals are inflating the numbers of COVID 19 deaths because they're saying like if someone had a pre existing heart condition and that person then got COVID 19 and then died of a heart attack, they're saying if they claimed that that death, the cause of the death, was COVID 19, they're saying that that's inflating the numbers because the person had a pre existing condition. But the point that the nurse that my old friend and his mom were arguing with on their Facebook, the nurse was like, yo, but like you need to understand that like even with those pre-existing conditions, like yes, they would have died from complications from those conditions, that but those conditions wouldn't have been ramped up in that way had those people not had COVID-19. Like that's why it's super serious. They're not inflating the numbers like it drastically. It pretty much is I mean, it is the cause. Like they're trying to explain to them, but like I don't know. It was very alarming because they clearly had like it looked to me like they had a conversation prior, about this whole topic clearly, and they had their whole narrative of why people thought a certain way. Like me, I was concerned and I reached out. I saw another girl reach out with the same with similar concerns, pretty much the same concerns, but she asked some questions that I was like, yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I saw at one point they were like, let me ask, do you think Trump is the problem here? And it's like, and it's like LOLs. It's just like nothing but just like condescending remarks because it seems as if they had already had their narrative of the whole situation there. They already had they already had a script of how the conversation between us and them was going to go. You know what I'm saying? They had already had that part mapped out. That's how those responses were. It wasn't that like, and I could be seeing it from one way because I have that viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? I could just be seeing it from my way, and I could be completely wrong in how I see things. But I just thought it was really insensitive. The post and the claims that. So the nurse was stating that most hospitals are nonprofits, and she was explaining that what I explained with the pre-existing conditions, and I saw how his mom was like, "LOL, it's not like it doesn't happen or some shit like that." Something really silly, and I was like, I don't know. I think I saved some screenshots just because I was like, let me just if I'm gonna reference it. Yeah, she's okay. So the nurse was like, yeah, the most hospitals are nonprofit patients, blah 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 blah, ventilators. She, you know what I've just said to you, not blah 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 blah, but what I just said to you, and and my friend's mom was like, not like that would be the first time ever, lol, and she states somebody's making the money that they're claiming is being made off of lying and saying that these deaths that aren't COVID-19 deaths are COVID-19 deaths. So this is what she's saying uh, about that, about their claim that people are lying. They're manufacturing COVID-19 deaths for monetary gain. Well, somebody's making the money with an exclamation point. Perhaps it's the insurance companies or the pharmaceutical companies, but somebody. Which I think is, that's like a, you didn't really say anything in this. Well, you said something, but not a lot of anything in there. Which I'm like, all right. And it was, and the nurse is like, not like what would, that someone with COVID-19 would have a heart attack. Like, it's like, no, I just, it just doesn't even make any sense. All right. And because then they start to complain about like, nah, like your bosses are the ones profiting and blah blah blah. Like we are the normal Joes, and it's just like, dude, this is like a whole other like conversation that you guys are having with yourselves. And at that point, I just sitting here and I was like, cause I was I when I spoke to him, I saw that he was like kind of ignoring me at first, like not responding to me and then responding to other people. I was like, whatever. But and then when he did respond, he was very upset that we hadn't hung out in like 4 years, which I was like, all right, this is like, all right, I see your point. Like I haven't been around, but pretty much anybody would have that same sentiment. As I stated last week, I don't hang out with anybody. I don't hang out with anybody by choice, I guess. I like my me time. Don't nobody don't nobody fucking make me laugh like I make me laugh, my nigga. Like I love me. I'm fucking awesome. Uh and it's all you niggas that just ruin my day. Uh Not ruin my day, but it's like, nigga, I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my thing. It's Babylon 5 Podcast, episode 36. Your boy Jermaine Event. Um, so yeah, so he said all that, and then he was claiming that like he just knew like maybe there's other sides to it that I didn't know, which were I was pretty sure when he said this were this conversation that he would then later have with this nurse. And it's like, dude, I'm fully aware of that, my guy. Because I've been concerned with this situation since fucking 2019, as I've stated, when we thought it was just a Wuhan situation. I've seen the videos where the woman was claiming that if someone had all these heart problems and they died, they would just mark it as COVID without actually knowing it was COVID. But then the woman ended the speech like, and this is just a ploy for the American government to take our liberties. And I was like, oh, like I saw that like 2-3 weeks ago. I was like, why she had to throw that in there? I was like, what you were saying was interesting, but then like, boom, hit you with this agenda. Like, I was like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I guess like maybe they saw that video and didn't go fuck. They were like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But me, I was like, fuck. I think that's something that might have happened there. Or I don't know where their sources are. Somebody asked, like, can I just ask where you get what you where you get your sources from, your facts? And then like it was something about like his response was like, I don't think a lot of things are true, and I don't think a lot of things are false. Like it was just like a super vague answer. It was ridiculous. And she was like, well, how do you determine? She was like, well, then let me ask, how do you determine what's false? And then I think that's when like his mom started to jump in with some comments, and it was like, dude, what is this? I don't understand any of this. And that's when I was just like, fine, I think I've outgrown this whole situation. I need to at this point just like walk away. I think I need to be on my Kelly Clarkson. I was just like just reading all this and getting real concerned. Like there's people, a lot of young people dying of this all over. People of all ages dying. He said global was reported is 200,000, but from what I was hearing, like China, Italy, they like have tried to cover up like the real numbers, like, and it's a lot higher than what they've reported. And then if you say like, hey, no, these people had pre-existing conditions, they didn't die of this, nothing's going on. Like, I just, but it's like clearly something is going on because everything is shut down. All right, you can't watch soccer because everything is shut down. I'm watching old UFC fights because everything is shut down. We can't. The Bucks aren't the number one seed in the playoffs right now. We should be in the playoffs right now. It's not happening because everything is shut down. The Packers, they just drafted a nigga quarterback. Does it matter? I don't think so because everything is shut down. They drafted niggas through Zoom. All right? It was a Zoom draft because everything is shut down. It's not a personal attack. I don't understand the mindset. They're like, this is just happening so that they can take away our liberties. Are you telling me they postponed the fucking Olympics so that the American government can take your fucking liberties? Why did they postpone the Olympics? How did they have that power? They shut down fucking the soccer league in Europe, all over the world. They shut that down so that they could take our liberties in America. How did they do that? How did they do it? I don't understand the logic here. Like, bruh, when when they thought it was just a thing in Wuhan, all right? When they thought it was just a thing in Wuhan, I didn't see anybody saying, "Hey, this there's no disease in Wuhan. There's no disease in Wuhan. It's just the American government trying to take our liberties." And then that shit really, I mean, they said the first COVID death that they found when they went back was from like February 2019. All right, when I saw that article, what I was saying was they like so once they started testing niggas in Italy, testing niggas over here in like Iran, everybody they were saying like everybody had it, and I'm thinking like nigga, everybody probably already has it here. We just simply don't test anybody here. We don't see it as a problem here yet. We thought it was just a problem in Wuhan. And I'm like, dude, they were like, it's airborne. I'm like, how often do people travel here, travel there, blah, blah, blah? Like, if it's airborne, everybody. I was like, dude, everybody probably already has it. Everybody. I've been to Vegas, Denver, all over the place, Alaska. Dude, everybody probably already has come into contact with this shit, was how I was looking at it. You know? That's how I was looking at it. Um, so yeah. I don't know where I was. I just know. I think. Oh yeah, I think it's silly. All right, I think it's silly. um, yeah. Nobody thought it was the government trying to shut it down when it was just then. Nobody thought it then. Nobody said it then. Nobody was talking about any of that nonsense then. I was the only person fucking worried. I saw one guy, Chris Godzilla Taylor. He he was openly talking about it, and I was watching him talk about it. I was watching his posts. I was doing my own research, but I was keeping quiet about it because like I've been a conspiracy theorist for so long that like I know what it's like when you bring up that shit that motherfuckers don't really know about. Like I knew like when those videos of Joe Biden came out was like creepy Joe Biden with the kids. Like I seen that years ago, but I never spoke about it because people would have thought I was crazy. I would openly say like fuck Joe Biden, but people would have thought I was crazy, and I mean they did. I would say it to close friends. I would say fuck Joe Biden. I'm like that dude's a pedophile, and they'd be like what? Joe Biden? Right? But they hadn't seen that video. I go out and seek this shit. And so I was keeping up with this situation and nobody was saying, I think the American government is just lying about this whole Wuhan situation to take our liberties. Nobody said that. Nah. But now everything is shut down in the world. In the world, everything is shut down globally. And niggas feel like it's a personal attack. That's silly. That's silly. That's just silly. And I'm not into it. So that's all I want to talk about, that situation. And I don't even care to talk about it anymore. Where are we with this? I think I had a lot of notes written on that and I was just like, let me ignore it and just kind of talk. But now I'm like, where am I? Where am I? Oh yeah, so you know what's interesting is coworker's daughter got sick and well she may or may not have COVID-19. And so they put the manager on quarantine because her daughter may have COVID-19. Who knows? Who knows? And I think it's funny, dude, because I don't know, man. We'll see. It's every day with this. It's getting pretty crazy. That's why cuz like on one side of it, I've seen people whose like uncle, I know people whose uncles died. I know people whose family members, all right, have died from this. And but then on the other side, you have people saying like, "Yo, this is nonsense. Like I need to just get back to real life." It's like, yo, this is real shit is happening right now. I know people who are dealing with this, and you're saying it's all lies. Like, please go to these people's faces and tell them you're overreacting. Like, I know your father's dead, but you're overreacting. I need you to go and say that to these people's faces because I guess this whole episode is just talking about um yeah, I guess so. And it's crazy because that's what it is. In the beginning, most of my I was the only person that was paranoid when I started working at the place that I worked. I was the only person that seemed a little paranoid about this. I would talk to people and they'd be like, ah. One guy was like, nobody likes to talk about it, but that they're talking about this in an election year. He's saying that, right? I remember the day he sang that. I was like, dude, I don't know, man. I think they might like put the country on quarantine. I think I was like they probably just shut everything down. He was like, I think this will be over in a week. Less than an hour after he said that, Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19 or for coronavirus, and they shut down the NBA and everything. All the dominoes started to fall. Like less than an hour after that conversation. But before, I was the only person paranoid, right? There was one woman who would constantly joke, like, "Oh, did you get sick? Did you get the Rona yet?" She'd constantly just shout that to me as I would come into work. Did you get the Rona yet? Because I remember she was like, I'm not gonna worry about coronavirus. She was like, I could get hit by a car or I get shot by a gun. And I was thinking I was saying this to my wife, it hit me like that's the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. You're telling me you're not gonna worry about taking precautions, even though in order to not get hit by a bus, you take these precautions? Do you just like say, fuck it, I'm going to just walk down the street regardless of traffic? I'm just going to walk across the street. I'm just going to drive through this intersection regardless of what these lights say. No, you don't, because you take those precautions to not get hit by a bus. You don't go to sketchy areas like at sketchy hours of the night. Like, I don't know, and just like you just take precautions, but you're telling me like you choose to not, you actively take these precautions throughout your life, like, and you don't even think about it, but you're telling me you're actively not gonna take precautions because you take precautions without thinking, like, but that's just where my mind is. And it's funny because now she's talking to me about how we need to shut down the whole store. We all need to self quarantine for like 2 weeks. Uh, she told me she spoke to her sister who's a nurse, and there's a hotline we could call, and we could say that they're not properly protecting us at the place of work, and that I feel, and then my throat's sore, and then you'll get a fucking doctor that'll email you a doctor excuse right then, and you're on a fucking quarantine for 2 weeks. That's a little tidbit there. uh, Anybody who wants to know, I'm gonna buck the system. But yeah, now I think it's crazy because I remember me and my wife, we went to I think Metro Market. We were wearing masks and gloves, and people were like openly like, "Oh my god," like real dismissive towards us wearing masks and gloves in the store, while barely any. There was a few other people wearing masks and gloves, like a lot of the older people, but the younger people were like, "Oh my god!" And now when I'm like walking around, it's like the fucking wild wild west out here. Everybody's got bandanas and shit on. It's like, dude. At first, like, you guys were like, "Oh my god, this the flu," and now you guys are finally starting to catch on. But guess what? We already got it. We're already infected. I feel like, as I said, it's like The Walking Dead. I think it's like The Walking Dead. Like, everybody's already infected. We'll just see how it turns out. We'll see how it turns out. Occasionally there would be people who come into the store and they'll be like, "It's just a media hoax," and I'll just be like, all right, sir. Well, you have a good day." And it's pretty funny. I think everybody should keep journals, and I wish people kept journals at the start of this. At the start of it all, they should have kept journals, and so that I could have seen how the transition. Maybe it's selfish. I wanted to see from the beginning when they were like, "This is nothing, dear diary. This is nothing to worry about." I thought you said journal, nigga. And then like, "This is nothing to worry about," to 2 weeks later to shit. I just talked to my sister, and she told me I can get put on mandatory quarantine if I lie and say my throat hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see the day by day transition to "there's nothing to worry about" to "nigga, what is gonna happen?" I was never at "nigga, nothing's gonna happen." I was always, ever since 2019. That's why they call it COVID-19, because it was like that thing developed, or whatever, that strain of the virus developed and was discovered, I think, in 2019. So that's why they call it 2019. Either it was developed or discovered in 2019, but that's where the 19 comes from in COVID-19. And yeah, I don't know. There's a fire. That just sounded like a little bit of was it Adele, "Rolling in the Deep"? Fucks with that. I don't know. I didn't know the lyrics. I, I started going. I was like, I don't know these words. I would have I would have gone with it, but I don't know the lyrics. I'm so sorry. So sorry to disappoint. I was about to vibe out. So you know, I don't know. Moving on. I didn't really put anything in my notes here to talk about too much of UFC, other than I was watching some fights. I was watching Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal for the second time. First time I watched it, maybe I had a couple brews, bruise. But I remember watching that fight live and thinking, "Damn, Jorge's dominating Nate Diaz." And then when I remember in the post fight when he was like, "Man, I felt like the fight was about to get better for me." I was like, "Why is he saying this right now?" Like he got dominated in that fight. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, upon rewatching that fight, upon rewatch, I'm like, "Holy shit. Nate's giving it to him throughout this fight." They're like I feel like Jorge was definitely hitting him with the bigger shots, but Nate was still coming at him, putting that pressure on him, hitting him with combinations, and like just really catching him. He was hitting him with some shit, but like Jorge had cut him open, so it looked real dramatic right away because he had that big cut, and then like Jorge was just hitting him with big shots, but Nate kept coming, and by the end of the third, it definitely looked like Jorge was starting to slow down at the end of that. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, knowing that the fight gets stopped after that round, I'm like, yo, the fight was definitely about to turn for Nate. Because Nate kept that pressure on Jorge. And then the fight went to the ground at the end of the third. And I'm watching how, like, I remember, like, early on in the fight when they went to the ground and the way how fast the strikes Jorge was throwing at Nate were. And at the end of the third there, like, he was throwing a few strikes, but they were, like, maybe half the speed of before. And he even before they went to the ground, he was looking pretty starting to look pretty slow. Or he's looking a lot slower than before. And I was like, holy shit. Like Nate would put it on him in the fourth round, I think. Nate would start to put it on him. I would love to see a rematch between Jorge Masvidal and Nathan Diaz. I'm happy that I can take this time here to go back and watch some old fights, because before it was like, well, this fight's happening, this fight's happening. It was like weekly fights. Now I can go back and rewatch some good fights and get a better perspective on some of these fighters. And I agree with Nathan. I think tides were about to turn. I think if it were not for that same cut that he suffered in the Anthony Pettis fight, he would have gone on to win that fight. I'm of that opinion. Or he would have at least, I think the fourth round, he would have looked a lot better in the fourth round. I think even without the cut, Masvidal clearly would have been winning the fight because he was landing so many heavy shots, just heavy shots to the body, and a lot of headshots. And he was just like, he landed a lot of heavy shots, but Nate kept coming. Nate's so durable, and I feel like Jorge was definitely slowing down at the end there, and I think it would have served Nathan pretty well in the fourth round with his cardio. Even he was saying, like, I didn't get a chance to run, and I was about to amp it up in the fourth. I think he was. I think he was ready to go in the fourth. He definitely wasn't trying to get out of that fight. So the UFC announced 3 fight cards. I'm just going to mention that. Apparently May 9th, what's 7 days after that? The 15th, 16th? I don't know. What is it? I think 15th. So 9th, 16th, and the 23rd, they've announced 3 fight cards. They said the first one is going to be pay-per-view. It's going to be UFC 249 because they got to make some money. And they asked, like, are the other fight cards just going to be like fight nights? Are they going to be free fight cards? Or are they pay-per-views? And Dana White was like, we haven't decided yet. So they're trying to get that money, because there was supposed to be a May 9th pay-per-view. UFC 250 was supposed to be May 9th. And April 18th was supposed to be UFC 249. So I think one of these cards, they're going to try to, like, throw in another. They're going to want to try to get another $75 out of you. Or they're going to try to get me to get on the internet skank hunt, and try to find a link because you niggas is tripping. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe I'll just order the pay-per-view. One of those random niggas that's actually still working. One of them random niggas. So I don't know. I think I talked about most of the fights that are gonna happen on the May 9th card. Felicia Spencer versus Amanda Nunes isn't happening because Amanda Nunes feels like she needs a full camp for Felicia Spencer, because I predicted last week that Felicia Spencer would win that fight by first round submission. And then like 2 days after, like a day after that episode came out, the Amanda Nunes dropped out of the fight and stated that she felt like Felicia Spencer was more of a difficult of opponent than they originally thought, and they needed a full camp for Felicia Spencer. So I feel like I was 100% right in assuming that Felicia was going to end that fight by first round submission. I think she underestimated, because Felicia's not known for her stand up, so I think she thought that would have been an easy thing, but she probably went and watched that Cyborg fight and saw how much damage she was able to take while still getting inside there, getting her hands on Cyborg and going for some submissions. And I think Nunes knows how vulnerable she's been. Like, she gets pretty tired with the grappling, and she's been submitted. And as I said, Durandamy almost got that triangle choke on her, and Felicia Spencer would have really ended that fight right away. So yeah, she needs about 3 to 6 months to prepare for Felicia. I think 3 months she needs for Felicia. Hopefully Felicia works on her stand up, but we'll see. I'm not sure what's up with the later fights. I'll make a extra vlog that I'll post on the Patreon if you guys are interested. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5. If you guys want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow the podcast at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts at My Name is Jermaine. You can email the podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can subscribe. You can follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, nigga, anywhere podcast stream. If you guys have Xbox One, you can go ahead and add me. I'll be your friend, SauceBoss414. You guys can go check out the merchandise, teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. I did see that they have like some kind of face mask covers, so I'm going to go on there and make some face masks. And yeah, that'll be pretty dope. If you guys want to watch me play video games and come and talk to me while I'm playing, it's twitch.tv/Babylon5. And as I stated, go ahead and go to that Patreon, which is patreon.com/Babylon5pod. Patreon.com/Babylon5pod. It's your boy Jermaine Event. This is episode 36. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Sorry, it was mainly just a COVID hate fest. I mean, I think that's what every day is, a COVID hate fest. But yeah, it's just what it turned out to be. And yeah, hope you guys are staying safe. Yeah, and hope to see you guys all on the other side. See you guys next week. Peace.